Right. So I'm here with Ian Kilfoyle from CoverTech. My name is Bruce Firestone. Say hi, Ian.
Hey.
And we're here to talk about CoverTech containers, and they have lots of different uses. I have no doubt about it. But before we get going, what I thought I'd do, oh, and my wife is joining us too. Dawn will be with us in a second.
Okay, sure.
So I'll just share my screen with you. And so we have this humongous barn, which is empty. And we're just wondering what the heck we can do with it. And so my wife, actually, Dawn, suggested that we put some containers in it, you know, and rent them out just to generate a little bit of income. And is that a fairly common use for your containers?
Yeah, it is. We have a lot of people that have old barns and, you know, storage areas, or a lot of times they were into a specific industry and they sell their business and their inventory, but they've still got the commercial property.
Yeah.
And these are a nice use for it too, because you can start out small.
Right
you
on.
know, opposed to having a contractor come in and build storage for the whole area. You can kind of buy 2 to 5 units at a time, rent them, and then once you reach capacity, you know, you can buy more units and rent your space as it fills up.
Yeah. Exactly. So the question I had for you, or some of the questions I had for you, Ian, was how mouse-proof are these containers?
They're very rodent proof. There are just tiny little gaps, probably less than 1/8 of an inch, near the bottom and the top where there's the corrugation on the sidewalls of the steel. And those gaps are just there to just provide a little bit of ventilation, a tiny little air gap. And on top of that, we provide foam pad markers that you can put in these gaps as well. So yeah, we've got all kinds of people doing them for self-storage, and they've had no issues with rodents.
So you're talking about like a spray foam?
No, it's actually just a little foam pad. I'll go grab one here for you just to show you. And actually, what people do sometimes with these foam pads, they use them. Some people are doing outdoor storage, and they have them outdoors in some drier climates. They use them because it keeps dust from getting out into the containers as well.
So yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, a sec here. So, let's see if you can see these tiny little gaps up here. Can you see the tiny little gap in the container?
I do see it. So what is that?
It's just, this is the inside of the container.
Yeah.
And if you come to the outside, there's a tiny little gap there. And then there's like a gutter up here.
Yes.
And that overlaps it's inset, but on the roof, it carries it out, and all the water comes into this gutter.
Okay.
So we have that tiny gap, and then we've got these little foam pads here, and these little foam pads can go in those gaps on the inside.
Okay.
So again, we put those little gaps on there, and that just is there because you'd have condensation if you didn't have.
Yeah, that was my next question. If we put these containers, CoverTech containers, in our barn, it's not heated. It is insulated. I mean, we do have, we have spray foam insulation on the entire structure, so it has kind of an R12 insulation, but it's not heated. How much condensation will you get inside these containers?
You really get next to no insulation or condensation in there. We've when they're indoors, they're even better. And outdoors, like, yeah, we have no issues with that. With those gaps, they vent them evenly enough so that you don't get sweating and stuff.
I have a question. Those,
sure.
The gaps, are they big enough for a mouse to get in? And if so, does the little plugs that you showed us prevent that?
They're not big enough for a mouse to get through.
They're not.
No, they're, they'd be like, a 20th the size of a mouse. So there's no way they could get in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you recommend spray foaming the ceiling to prevent condensation, or it's not necessary?
It's not necessary, but some customers, if you're just putting them up in the barn, they're not going anywhere. That will give you some added protection. If you're just going to put them up in the barn and you're not planning on leaving them for 10 or 15 years, it probably wouldn't hurt just to spray foam insulate them. Customers obviously that are going to be taking them apart and putting them up, say, at a customer site, renting it, then taking it back to their facility. I mean, obviously they wouldn't want to do it, but if the only purpose of the container is to set it up, leave it set up, then yeah, you could do some spray foam and it'll give you.
But your experience indoors, because it does vent, one of my clients was, I think one of the top 2 Pods franchisees in the world. You know what Pods are, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And he had a franchise in Ottawa, and he had one in Halifax, very successful. And their containers, did breathe. So there was no insulation in them, whether they were inside or outside. Because they were breathing, there was not I don't think there was a condensation problem.
Yeah. So we've got our business partner. He runs a self-storage company in Saskatoon, and he's got probably around like 150 to 200 units that he stores both in his warehouse and outside. And he's had no issues with condensation. And, to give you a range, like you would have his climate. And then I just got off the phone yesterday, a customer, Stephenville Self-Storage in Newfoundland. He bought a few of our units about a year and a half ago, and he's had his up outside in Newfoundland with just, pouring rain, like whipping winds. And he said, not a drop of moisture to the inside.
So if you put them outside, I guess you put them on something like railroad ties just to get them off the ground.
Yeah, railway ties or a gravel pad, or some people even pour like a cement slab that would be, 7 feet wide, or 10 feet wide, and then just put a bunch together.
We have a bunch of snow here, as you know, in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And you want to get them a little off the ground. But our plan is to put them inside our barn, and we could probably fit 10 or 15 inside our barn if we decide that's the direction we want to go in. And I think I think you've answered some of my questions for sure. Because we're going to put them in one place, I don't think we need the wheels. I did watch your videos, right? And you can put these little tiny wheels on and move them around, but that's not our model. So I don't think we need the wheels.
Yeah, and where you alluded to, like giving advice to other companies, the most common use for those wheels are for self-storage companies that are renting the larger ones, 16 and 20-foot containers.
Yeah.
Because those ones are harder to assemble. You need 4 or 5 people for the large ones because the panels are so heavy.
Yeah.
And then the wheels are nice because typically they would assemble it at their facility, roll it onto a truck, get to the customer location, roll it back down off the truck. And even if you want to load it, you can fully load it and then haul it on a trailer.
Wow.
So it's better for the bigger ones because it is a lot more work to put those together. Whereas the smaller ones, it's pretty easy for 2 people to manhandle.
Yeah, I watched the video. I'm an expert now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a 3-minute expert.
Yeah. And to be honest, it doesn't go together that easy the first time you do it. The first time you put one together, it would probably take closer to an hour to do it. But
I said that to Don. The first time, our guys put one together, it'll take them an hour. It's like IKEA furniture. The first time you go, what? And then the second time it takes half an hour. By the time you've done them as many times as your men have, it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that. I understand that. Let's see what I've got, if I've got any. So there are two options, right? Paint or no paint. What would you recommend?
If you were just storing indoors, I mean, I would think galvanized would be fine. With the paint, so we stock quite a few here in New Brunswick. The containers are actually made in Turkey. So we never know what color people want them painted. So sometimes we bring in some painted ones, but normally our customers order a full load direct from the factory if they want them painted, because then they can get the specific colors they want.
Right.
And they're more attractive to people for their company colors when they're going to be out in public. They look a lot nicer, and you can do company branding with your colors.
Right.
So
Well,
that's the main reason why people do
I would
that.
assume that. I don't think it really extends the life very much, but it does look nicer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, can I ask a question?
Over to you, baby.
The question I was going to ask was, when you have all of the galvanized ones lined up, does painting, and I think you kind of answered it, does painting actually make it look sort of lighter and brighter in the space?
Not necessarily.
No.
Like, because it would depend on the color. If you got them painted like a lighter color, you know, say like a light yellow or off-white or something like that, it probably would on the inside. But aside from that, I mean, the galvanized would be just as bright as if somebody had it painted like in a blue or dark blue like that. And also, normally when people have them painted, in terms of how bright it is on the inside of the container, typically when we do a powder coat, it's only on the outside and then the inside's still galvanized.
Yeah, I meant on the inside when you have them all lined up in the barn. If they were painted,
Hi, Chris. It's Bruce here.
would it sort of
Joining us on Zoom?
look cleaner than having galvanized?
I don't think so. The galvanized looks pretty clean because it has a nice shiny finish on it too. So yeah.
Okay. Is there a big difference in cost between painted and unpainted?
15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's significant. It's about around $330 to have the outside painting on a 10-foot container.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, that's coming from the factory. It would be a lot more expensive if you were to get someone around here locally to paint.
Your calendar there, because there's a number you can call in with your phone. You can actually join Zoom with a phone number. It's on the invite. Well, how about I text it to you right now, okay? All right. Sorry about that, guys. Chris is on a job site, but he would like to join us. I apologize, Ian and Dawn, for doing that. I just have to get an invite here.
Sure.
Copy invitation. And I'm just going to send it to Chris now. Again, I apologize for interrupting.
Oh, no worries.
Don, you have to ask Ian some more questions while I get Chris on.
What more do I need to know?
Well, I have a question for you, Ian, while we're trying to get Chris on the line. And that is, so you don't paint them in your shop. They have to be painted in Turkey.
That's right. Yeah. So that's where they're manufactured, and they.
So if we wanted to order some today, they're going to be galvanized, right?
Yeah. The only thing I have painted right now are 16 and 20 footers.
Yeah, we can't. Our barn, you know, we need the 10 footers.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with galvanized, Don. And I think they're a little cheaper too, right, Ian?
Yeah, it's about $300 or $400 more for the painting.
Yeah. So yeah, if Chris doesn't answer, I'm just going to give up. So we'll go with galvanized, and so Chris, I had to send you the invite by email, so it's on your email.
Okay, is it okay if you join them when you're closing the deal, when you're about to make the purchase?
That's what we're doing right now.
Oh, you're doing that right now?
Well, give us 5 minutes. Give us 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll jump in 5 minutes.
All right, sorry about that. He gave the game away. I'd like to order a few today.
Yeah.
So you know you made the sale, Ian.
Yeah.
By the way, the reason we're talking is because Her Highnessness found you guys.
Pardon me?
And the
And
reason we're talking today is
He
because
knows that.
Dawn found you.
Yeah, he knows that.
Yeah.
It wasn't me who found you. All right, so I noticed that some of your containers have doors that open, you know, like that, and some are just one door that swing like that. What's the advantage of this as opposed to this?
With the standards of single door, the double door, the only advantage, main advantage, is that it's a wider door. So
What is a wider door? The double doors or the single door?
the double door is the wider door.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But also, I would think, Ian, the double doors don't swing as wide, right? Like a single door would swing out further than a double door.
No, they both swing out and run like perpendicular to the
I know that,
perpendicular.
but how deep are the doors? You know, the single door, is it 48 inches? Is it 40 inches?
Single door is 48 inches.
48. So it swings out 4 feet.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you had two single doors or two double doors like this, that they were each 30 inches, then the swing is only 30 inches.
Yeah, but when they do the double doors, they leave the one door 48 inches, and then the second door is a smaller door that opens.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Did I understand that they open up and slide back along the side of the container?
They open up on a hinge, so there's a hinge up on the side of the container, and
Right.
then it just opens up from that.
Just opens up,
But
okay.
can it open up all, you know, like, what is it? That's 90
180.
180? Can they open 180?
Here, I'll walk over here and I'll show you the doors on the container in the showroom. The one I've got in the showroom here, it's a double door. So, can you see the door?
Yeah,
Perfectly, yeah, perfect.
So, yeah, this is the one door. You can go, that's probably about as far as you'd want to go on that.
so not quite.
Show me
This-
the smaller door there, Ian.
Yep, so this is the smaller door.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So with the double doors, you really get almost a 7-foot access to your container.
Yeah, it's about 6'6". Yeah.
Okay.
And the most common thing that we've had people requiring that for are people who want to store ATVs and things of that nature.
Yeah.
That's usually every other item you can get in through the single door is just really people looking to store ATVs. That's the main thing that comes to mind for me.
And probably snowmobiles too.
Yeah, snowmobiles would make it easier. You could store two. You know,
Can you store 2 ATVs in a container?
No, you could only get one in. Yeah.
Okay, so you can get 1 ATV and you can get 2 snowmobiles.
Yeah.
How many motorcycles?
Should be able to get 2 motorcycles.
Okay. Because one of the things that Dawn and I talked about is allowing people, our barn is beautiful inside, by the way. I mean, it's, you know, it's got a concrete floor and it's insulated, and it's got like, it's like a church, you know, it's got 29-foot, you know, kind of like Amish style architecture to it. It's quite beautiful actually inside. So I think that's good. Now, I think I saw that you also have some containers that are 7 feet wide, I think, but only, I think, 40 inches deep. They're more like storage lockers than they are anything else. Is that correct?
We do, yeah. We don't have any in stock right now, but we can get them.
So can I just share my screen again with you? I think they look like this. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah. They're fairly wide, but quite shallow in terms of the depth of them.
Yeah, can you see it okay?
Yep.
Yeah, because that's an interesting storage area too. It's only 40 inches deep, correct?
Exactly. Yep.
And it's 7 feet wide?
Correct. Yep.
Right. And what do most, and how tall are these containers?
The overall height's 7 feet high.
So I thought I saw in your video that they were all 8 feet high.
No, all these containers, the standard's 8 feet high. We do have, you could have been looking at, we have some of those insulated containers and office containers. Those ones are normally 8 feet high. But
the ones that we're talking about are 7 feet high, correct?
Yeah, they're all 7 feet wide.
They're also, I just have to know that, that's all.
Yeah.
So what would somebody use this one for?
I haven't sold a ton of those. Like, yeah, I'm not really sure off the top of my head. I think we've sold more for like industrial sort of equipment storage and stuff like that, like pails of material, you know, chemicals and stuff like that.
I was thinking that this one would be for, you know, a contractor who just wants to store his or her tools.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, I think we've sold to a couple different, just more commercial companies that have bigger, you know, like oil and gas sites.
Yeah, I get it. So for us, I think that that's a no. So Ian, thank you for sending your pricing. We're talking about the 10-foot units, but you've got a bunch of different choices here. Which one would you recommend for us?
I would recommend the 4000 series because the steel and everything is just as heavy as the Eco series.
Yep.
The only difference with it is that it has nuts and bolts to connect the sidewalls. So the advantage to the quick lock pins is when people are taking them down and putting them up, going to site, it makes it a bit quicker to put them together. But if you're just going to put your containers up and leave them up in the barn, it's the most economical option, and it doesn't take that much longer to put them together. So
yeah, well, we have a contractor who is an artist. He will figure it out and put them together for us. I have no doubt you could give him the most complicated thing to do. You know, he's been working with us for, I think, 30 years, Don, and he'll figure it out. So I like that. Now, the 4000 series, does that, the Eco, so the one I highlighted, the 10-foot 4000 series, 1890, that's the one you're recommending?
Yeah, so the only other one is just below it, 10-foot Eco for 1956.
What's the difference?
These containers are identical, except for one goes together where they connect with nuts and bolts, and the other goes together with the quick lock pins, like you saw in the video.
So this is the quick lock pin here.
Yeah, 1956. That's
right.
The quick lock.
All right. So, but we don't need that. But Chris may. All right. So Chris, say hi to Ian. Chris,
He can't hear you yet.
yeah. Can you say hi to Ian?
Hi, Ian.
I mean, I know, like, you know, they're trying to step back.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. So Chris.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen okay? It must be pretty tiny on your iPhone.
No, I could see it. I see the you're flashing with the teal.
Yeah.
I got the yellow.
So Ian is recommending for us in the barn the 10-foot 4000 series galvanized. They cost $1,890 each. They're 10-foot long, 7-foot wide, 7-foot tall. They're galvanized, so they're not painted. And he said it's okay. very, very economical. And the doors, Ian, on the 10-foot 4000 series is just the 48-inch door, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Can we have a couple of them that have the 48-inch door and the second little door so that they open up to 6'6"?
Yeah. To get the double door, I just would have the 10-foot Eco, and they'd be $2,053 each.
Say that again.
The only ones I have in a 10-footer is the Eco model,
Yeah,
and it's a little bit more money for the double door.
yeah.
So they would be the next one down. It says 10-foot Eco, pull handle door, and those are 2,053 each.
Oh, so it's this one here.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take this off. Okay, so what we have is, Chris, I muted you just because, Chris, I muted you just because there's too much background noise, okay? All right, so if you could find a place, Chris, where you are quiet, I'll unmute you. All right, you tell Phil to find a place to go and have a smoke break. So anyway, so Dawn, the 10-foot 4000 series at $18.90 takes a little bit more time to put together, but it's a little cheaper. It has a door that's only 48 inches. The 10-foot Eco 6 at $2,053, if I understand it correctly, does have the double doors, right, Ian?
Yeah, so you'd have the wider opening on that.
You have, yeah. And for Chris, is this the one here with the Pro wheel receiver so that he can put wheels on it?
Yeah, so I have 2 left in stock right now, which is a 10-foot Pro model. So the steel is slightly heavier on it, and it is built for the wheel receiver, and that one's $23.77 each.
Okay, so Chris, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself now, okay?
Can I make a
Yeah, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, Dawn, you go, and then I want to talk to Chris.
The difference between the one that's easier to put together and the one that needs nuts and bolts is $66.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I mean, you can tell me how much easier it is. I think it's almost better to go with the one that's easy to put together than to pay someone $40 or $50 an hour to struggle with the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it might only take, 5 or 10 minutes more.
Okay.
It's just your preference, I guess.
Okay.
So Chris, one of the things that, Chris, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
So one of the things that Ian is recommending, and I'm probably recommending too, is that for long yards, because you might move these around, you probably need to go with the 10-foot Pro with wheel receiver. It has a little heavier gauge metal, and it also allows you to put them on wheels and move them from one contractor yard to another.
Yeah, I think it's ideal for sure. Is that, like, can I get it in blue?
Well, right now, I don't think Ian has any that are painted. Ian, do you have any that are painted blue?
The only thing I have that's painted is like a 16-foot container, and it's like a 2-tone container. It's like light gray on the bottom, on the body, and dark gray on the top and bottom.
How long would it take you to get Chris's painted and delivered?
From the factory right now, it'd probably be like 2 or 3 months to get them in.
Oh, wow.
So Chris, what we're going to do, Dawn and I are going to do, is we're going to order some of Ian's containers today. We're okay with the galvanized. I would like them painted. The name of our company, Ian, is Blue Heron Storage. The name of Chris's company is Long Yards, and both of us have the same blue. But in order to get this business going, I'm quite happy, as long as, Dawn, you're happy with just the galvanized. And my recommendation, Chris, would be that you might buy a few of these today, just galvanized, and then you could place, if you're happy with them, you could place an order with Ian for another 10 or whatever you need that are painted.
It's just nice to keep the consistency, don't you think?
I agree. Well, if you order them today from Ian, he says 2 to 3 months you'll have them.
Yeah, I can do that. I can order. How many are you getting, Bruce?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I got to talk to Ian and Dawn. So the next question I was going to ask you on behalf of Chris and also myself, I saw on your website that there's financing available. Ian, what kind of financing does your company offer?
Well, we actually do it through a third party. So we deal with National Lease, which are one of the bigger financing companies in Canada for this type of thing. So I'd have to get a quote done up and send it over to them, and they'd kind of take some information from you and then let you know from there what their terms are they could offer.
So typically, just so I know, with National Lease, I know those guys. What are they looking at in terms of a down payment?
A lot of the ones I've seen, they haven't even required a down payment. They pretty much just finance it over. Typically, I think they're like in a 3 to 5 year agreement on the ones I've seen.
Okay. So, so what I would recommend, Chris, is for you, you know, if you buy some of these, you would have time, if you wanted them painted blue, you would have time to, you know, to make the order and then also to firm up your financing through National Lease, because Chris has 10 acres of heavy industrial land. So, you know, in theory, he could have 500 of these things on his property, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's going to start with a few and then go from there. So Don, how many of these do you think we should order? 2, 4, 5, 10? What do you think is our number, our magic number?
So I have 2 more questions.
Sure.
In your email correspondence, you said delivery to Ottawa was $850, I think. Is that $850 for 5?
Yeah, so the way these ship is they ship on a flatbed, so that we're taking up 10 feet of flatbed either way, and then we stack the containers. So we can get 9 containers high. So for that rate of $850, you could get up to 9 containers for the same price. So
yeah, so whether you ship 2 or you ship 9, it's the same price, Don.
I understand. I was just asking the question.
That's a good question.
The other thing I wanted to know was if at a later date you decide that you want, like some of them you showed had the doors painted, can it be, I'm just thinking out loud here, spray painted, you know, in the same way that maybe you would change the color of your outdoor siding?
Yeah, like you could have it painted. I'm sure there's companies around there locally that would do it. The advantage of getting it done at the shop over there in Turkey is typically, like I said, it's about $330 to do a 10-foot container, whereas around here in Canada, it'd probably be quite a bit more expensive.
Right.
But another thing some companies have done too is you could get a local graphics company to do like a stick-on type logo, and you can get those done in colors and stuff too. So some of them are quite nice, and you can get something like that. You can get something like that in a blue with a company name. That might be a cheaper option. It would give the containers a little more personality, and it's something that you could do quicker than having to wait to order some of those.
So Chris, that's another option for you, because you know, if you look at, you know, do you remember a lot of these construction trailers have decals on them, right?
Yeah.
And you could, I'm not saying you should do anything. You have to make up your own mind, but you could decal them. You could have a long yards. By the way, I'm wearing one of Chris's caps here, Ian. Yeah, long yards. So you could have them branded by just having a local guy do a decal. And I think, Don, we have a beautiful logo, Ian, of a blue heron. You know, so Blue Heron Storage, we have a beautiful logo. We used to run a mini storage company, so we have a beautiful, we could get, you know, 5, if we buy 5 of your units, we could get 5 decals and put them on, and it would look beautiful, Don.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's better than painting it, and thank you for that, Ian. So Ian, I think what we should buy is, did you say you had some of the 10-footers that have the double door?
Yeah, well, I've got 4 in stock with the double doors, and those ones are 2053.
Yeah, I see that. So I think we should buy, I mean, Don, it's up to you. I think we should buy the 4 that Ian has in stock at $2,053 with the double doors. And I'll tell you why, Don, because as Ian mentioned, they're big enough to get an ATV in. They're big enough to get 2 snowmobiles in. They're big enough to get 2 motorcycles in. And since we're going to do car storage and maybe boat storage and motorcycle and ATV storage, there will be people who will want them. So I think we could get 4 of those, and maybe, you know, one of the others. We could buy 5, or you could buy 4. Dawn, what do you think? You want to buy 4, or you want to buy 5? That's really,
Well,
I think, the question.
48 inches, that's 4 feet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really think it makes a lot of sense in buying one that only has 1 door. I'm assuming that the smaller door locks down. So if you wanted to just have the single door and use that side for
Yeah,
storage, you
good
could do
point.
that. It would act as a wall. But if you only have the 1 door, you're more limited. So
Yeah,
that's my
I think
opinion.
that's a good idea. So Ian, we would like to buy 4 then. Okay, the 4 that you have in stock that have the double door.
Okay.
And
Sure.
we'll start with that, and we'll see how it goes. And like you said when we started this conversation, that you know, if it goes well, which I'm sure it will, then we can come back to you by a bunch more, and we'll give you a little bit more lead time next time. So Chris, we're going to buy 4 of the 10-foot Eco 6 $2,053 things from Ian today. Ian, can you draw up an order?
Yeah, I can do a formal invoice. And
Yeah, if you
email
don't mind. And when will you ship them to us?
Should be able to have them shipped out within just a few days. I'll just have to get a hold of the trucking company where they'll book it up with something else heading to Ontario. So,
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
I have another question.
sure.
Would it be just as convenient if we were to say we would like to have them delivered by date X as opposed to having them shipped immediately? Does that work for you?
Yeah, like if you could give me a range, because
Yeah.
basically how the flatbed company works is where I'm only taking 10 feet, then they'll have a truck coming through with other freight that's going from Atlantic Canada to Ontario. So they can't necessarily guarantee me an exact day, but if I had a range, like if you said I want them this particular week or something, that should be no problem. And well, I'm thinking of it too. Do you have a forklift or a tractor with forks to unload on site? Okay, because that basically each one of those containers weighs about 1,000 pounds. So typically they need to go to a site where they can be unloaded because the driver doesn't have any capability to do that.
I might be able to get my Bobcat there, Bruce.
Well, how would your Bobcat?
I have forklift
forks?
attachments.
Okay, you can float it in. We'll pay you for that, Chris. So Don, when would you want them delivered?
Sorry guys, can I just take in quick here?
Yeah.
Sorry. What I'm going to do, Bruce, I'm going to come check out yours if you're getting them within a reasonable amount of time, and then because I want the blue ones, then I'll probably place an order for the blue ones after I see yours. So I think I'm going to take it in that direction.
No problem, Chris. Go back to work.
Okay, thanks. Okay, bye.
Bye, Chris.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
So go ahead, Ian.
Well,
Yeah, sorry, you go ahead, Don.
yeah, there are a few steps that we need to organize before we're ready to take delivery of them and have them set up. So, you know, I don't know, today's the 25th of June. You know, if we could have them in the next month. I don't know, Bruce, what were you thinking?
Well, we have to get ready for the peak season for renting these things. You know this, Ian, so do I, is August, September, and October. You know, if you miss that window in the mini storage business because of our winters, you're cooked, right? You understand, Ian?
Yeah, nobody wants to do anything once the cold weather comes.
Once November hits and the weather's miserable, and then in Ottawa, you know, our winters are -20, -25. So
Yeah.
you don't rent very many in December, January, February, even March.
Yeah.
We're still getting snow in April. So the two peak seasons, Dawn, are April, May, and June. Then July, very quiet. I mean, you could shoot a cannon. Everybody wants to go on holidays and enjoy the 3 days of summer that we get. So we have to be ready by the second week of August if we want to fill our building. So my recommendation would be, it's now the 25th of June. My recommendation, Dawn, would be that the delivery would be around the 16th of July. It gives us about 3 weeks to do. You know, we've got a little bit of stuff in the barn that we have to clear out. It's mostly empty, but there's still a few things there. So, you know, it's 1-800-GOT-JUNK, if you know who those guys are, Ian. So 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And they, Dawn, they'll clear that place out in if it took them 2 days, I would be amazed. And probably one day they'll get it. Just you call them and they'll take all that crap out.
Yeah. Well, what I can do is I'll do the formal quote today and I'll send it over, and that way you'll have it, and you know, you can think about it for a day or two and kind of plan when you want them. And like I said, as long as I have like a week, like, you know, we want it the last week of July or something like that.
I think we should agree that the delivery date would be targeted for July 16th.
Well, somewhere in that time frame.
Yeah.
Anytime after the 16th,
yeah,
in that week.
Yeah, in the week of the 16th. Is that okay? Can you put that in the quote for us, Ian?
Yeah, that right down here. So.
All right. Oh, yeah. So anytime in the week of the 16th of July, we'll get our containers. Okay. Is there anything else, Dawn, we need to ask?
I don't think so.
Ian, any questions for us?
I think I'll be all set. I'll get that formal quote drawn up and send that over to you this afternoon, and from there I'll set the containers aside and we'll just
anybody else
for the date. Yeah, no, I'll keep them secure until they leave the
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye, Ian.
All right, see you. Okay, thanks.